Thank you for being here tonight to the first Travel Inspirations webinar. I want to ask you to use the chat you have here in Zoom, that you use it respectfully. And also what you can do is show some reactions to us in your little screen you have here on Zoom. The button for that is in the middle of your screen at the bottom. So, but now you also already saw the logo in the beginning. You maybe ask yourself now, what is JoinMyTrip?
So JoinMyTrip is a very straightforward concept. We bring together two kinds of traveler. On the one side, we have trip leaders. These are the people that love to plan and organize and also lead trips. And then on the other side, you have trip mates. And these are the travelers that rather sit back and relax while still enjoying traveling together with like-minded people. So in a nutshell, we empower everyone to experience the world with your own eyes. And actually, a little fun fact, side fact. So the first trip that actually was posted and happened over JoinMyTrip was a trip hosted by me, and we went to Morocco. So big surprise, that is also the first country of our webinar. And as you can see, it's a lot of fun traveling together in a group with people you haven't met before. These are just some impressions from different trips. I've seen Tim before, and he's in one of these pictures in Spain. He was with them in a group in Spain. So if you have questions later on, I'm pretty sure he is also happy to answer them. But yeah, I can still remember what actually amazed me most about Morocco, right? And that's the diversity of the country. You have pretty much everything you could dream of. For people that maybe come from Central Europe, Switzerland, Austria, you can go for a really good hike there, the Atlas Mountains. You can go shopping like crazy on local souks. So these are the markets. You have the Sahara Desert, and coming along with most desert visits is camel riding, but please make sure to choose a camel that is very comfortable. I didn't do so. I didn't have a clue, and I wasn't able to sit for 2 days. So that was quite tricky. And then obviously there's a lot of people, and I'm included there, who like to go on road trips. I think it's a very nice way to explore a country. In Morocco, that's actually easily possible because the infrastructure is really nice. Robin is gonna tell you a bit about that later on. And also, we already have one guest here from Portugal. I think Portugal is really big when it comes to surfing currently. You can also do that in Morocco. So now, who is ready to actually learn some more about Morocco? Use your reactions, bottom a thumbs up or something would be nice. Any questions so far, Robin? Someone in the chat or?
No, I think we're good at the moment, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Because you can also always ask questions in the chat. Either we answer them on the fly or just in the end. Yeah, and I think next to landscape is usually food, right? And I think for a lot of travelers that's a very integral part of traveling. And what you see here is just a selection of really good stuff you'll find in Morocco. They are. I personally love food. I love eating food. Let's put it that way. I'm not a good cook, but I'm really good when it comes to the eating part. And I think the first kind of food would come in handy for me. Morocco boasts a lot of different salads, very healthy salads. And apparently you don't gain a lot of weight if you eat salad. That's what I heard.
Apparently you can make good use of a salad, right?
Yeah, thanks for that. But yeah, true, unfortunately. And then something else that is supposed to be very special about Morocco is the orange juice. Apparently it's the best orange juice in the world. And for quite some time, the price of a glass of orange juice was also fixed. So the king decided, okay, glass of orange juice can't be more expensive than a certain price. You have a lot of different soups, a great variety of soups. Can only recommend eating these. And then if you travel through Morocco, I think it's basically impossible to not drink the local mint tea. If you are not one of the sweet tooth, then really tell them to not put too much sugar in it, because usually it's really, really sweet. So I loved it, obviously. But yeah, if you don't like sweet stuff, ask them to put less sugar in it. And then last but not least, I think that's basically the national dish, tagine. Very special local food. I can only recommend eating it at least twice, I'd say, because every tagine is very different. And yeah, if you had a lot of food, if you went to a restaurant, usually straight after there's one question that comes up that is hard to answer if you didn't prepare yourself well, and that's how much do I actually tip in a foreign country, right? But I guess, Robin, you got some insights about that.
Yeah, of course I have. So actually, like Nils just said, how much tip do we give? Yeah, it's actually 5 to 10% roundabout rule of thumb. But outside of restaurants, of course, the world works differently. You have to bargain actually in Morocco. So imagine you're in a souk that's like kind of the local markets there, and you see something nice, but there won't be price tags. So of course you will simply ask the seller how much does it cost, and this will usually really result in bargaining. So for example, he will start with 20 euros, and you will continue the process by not even 10 euros, and usually in the middle, and after a while you meet in the middle somewhere. If this doesn't work, there's actually a very old trick. You just walk away, and usually he will just go after you and give you like the fair price or the last price you actually have offered him.
Yeah, let me hop in here because I mean, I'm from Germany, right? So I know the feeling that when you're asked to actually bargain with someone, you suddenly start sweating and you're like, no, 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 that's just not what I like. But really, if you follow that rule that Robin just told you, even haggling can become kind of fun and you get used to it. And I promise you, if you stay there for a week and you constantly have to do it anyways, then you'll get used to it and you'll miss it in Germany. But sorry, Robin, go on.
So no problem. So the last point is cover yourself in certain places. What do we mean by that? For example, in a mosque, it would be very disrespectful to go, for example, in bathing clothes right there. So it's really important to respect the culture, and cover yourself on certain places is definitely one point of it. Then where do's, there are also don'ts, of course. What you should not do in Morocco is actually drinking the tap water. For example, in Europe, we are used to it, like drinking the tap water. But in Morocco, you should not do that. If otherwise, you maybe might spend a few days on like between your bed and the place you only go alone. And you also shouldn't do is that you hop in a taxi without setting a price beforehand. So otherwise, you can be surprised how expensive a taxi ride can be. So make sure you talk to the driver beforehand and set a fixed price. A last thing is also what you should not do is disrespect the monarchy. You're in another country, so also respect the culture and the politics and, of course, the religion. And so, yeah, this is what you should not do definitely in Morocco. Good. Where do we go next? We go to the infrastructure. I have here insights about accommodation and transportation for you. So first of all, I strongly recommend that you stay in a riad. As you can see here, they really look very nice. They also look very expensive, maybe, but in reality, they're pretty cheap for what they offer. Right, Niels?
Yeah, absolutely. I can still remember we were staying with 7 people in a really nice riad in Casablanca and also in Marrakesh, and we paid only around about 280 euros per night. And we had plenty of room. We had our own little swimming pool. We had a rooftop terrace. It was really a nice place. Most of them are decorated very nicely, and it's kind of like very tranquil place in a bus city. But and also what we had, and I think that's most important when you travel, when you look for nice accommodation, is also having a good location, right? So our riad was actually located very closely to the train main station, and we took the train. I was a bit surprised when I did my research about Morocco beforehand. Yes, there is a train, and it's a really nice train, and you can hop on it, and it goes quite often. I don't remember how often it goes during the day, but you go from Casablanca to Fez, and via Rabat, right? And but I guess yeah, transportation. Robin, you got some more insights once more there.
Yeah, of course. So referring to the point, one can state that actually the public transportation is quite good in Morocco. So like Neil said, you can always use the train, and there are pretty good routes for that. Always you can use the local bus. But a thing we also recommend to you is just simply get a car with a driver. It's also not that expensive as you might expect. And of course, it has the advantage that you are more flexible, and also your driver usually knows the city really well, and also a little bit of outside the city. And you can also always can give tips like where's the best restaurant, etc. So we continue with trip preparation. We have also three things to consider here for you. I think it's very important things when you travel is visa, money, and language. So of course I cannot give you official visa advice here. Also, I think we are from a different country here, but I can generally state that many EU countries actually don't need a visa for Morocco. So you can stay up there for 90 days if you just fly there and show your passport, you get a stamp, and it's also for free. So that's a very comfortable thing to do. In case of money, Morocco is still kind of let's call it a cash society. So with a credit card, you probably do not come far on every place in Morocco. So it's always good if you have cash on you. And also, actually, here the euro is quite often accepted, actually. So, Niels, was your experience like different, or what can you say about it? And you're muted.
I'm still muted.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Cash is king, and I think that holds true even nowadays. Especially if you manage to move around away from the touristy areas, that's where you need real money. But just one thing, Tim was asking in between, what about rental cars? I rented a car, was absolutely perfectly fine. Most of the big providers are actually in the country, so that's pretty straightforward, and we didn't run into any trouble. Okay, go on, Robin.
Okay, so what we said in the beginning already is that Morocco is a very diverse country, and it also reflects that in its language. So we have as the language Arabic and Tamazight, and also French as official languages of Morocco, actually. With Spanish and English, you can always somehow survive, let's say. But I think it's very good if you have some phrases, some sentences or words in French at least. So then you should come good through the country. So yeah, I guess your head is like kind of spinning right now because we told you so many facts. But I think not only facts are good, but also like to follow someone's footsteps actually, and doing a trip there. So right, Niels?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what you always should do, right? Just looking up Wikipedia facts and pictures is one thing, but talking to people that have already been there and reliving an experience is something that makes you realize, hey, I want to go there or I don't want to go there. So what we want to do is we want to introduce you to a trip that was made with JoinMyTrip, and the trip was organized by Kati and serves as an inspiration for you, really. Should give you an understanding of what could you experience in just 7 days. It's a bit packed maybe, but I think it's absolutely worth it, especially when you're from Europe. You can just spend a week there. Obviously, if you have more time, that's nice. And Kathy is one of our Morocco experts, I'd say. She has been offering trips on JoinMyTrip for quite a while now. She's a super experienced trip leader. And if we're lucky, she's here tonight as well. But and she might also answer questions later on. But I think for now, she's just going to sit back and relax like the rest of you while Robin and I make you relive that trip and get an understanding of what Morocco looks like.
Yeah, so thanks, Niels. But first of all, before we start with that, just give our audience like a short geographical orientation. In case you didn't know, Morocco is located here in North Africa. It's actually quite close, like we already said in the beginning, to Spain, respectively Gibraltar. So the small line you can see here is actually the itinerary that Kati planned for a trip. And we can also zoom in a little. So we have the country, and here is still the trip. And here you can also see a little bit like the dimensions of the trip. The stops that have been made. And you can see also here everything is done by car and is also actually doable within 7 days. So it's quite actually a short time. For that you can see actually a lot. So
yeah, let's get started. As most trips, we start in Marrakesh. This might also because the airport is connected extremely well to the rest of the world. Just be a bit careful once you arrive. I mean, that holds true in pretty much every country, I think, and every airport. There's going to be taxi drivers that want to take advantage of you. So do a bit of research beforehand, how much the trip from the airport to your accommodation should actually cost.
Yeah, but as soon as you arrived in Marrakesh, in the city, in your Riyadh, of course, the city itself is best explored by walking, actually. But Marrakesh is also probably a city most of you already heard of, and that's justifiably so, because Marrakesh is quite famous for its markets, its souvenirs, its restaurants, and especially the Jama el-Fna. That's a very exciting city square. And since the webinar started, I have still not been to Morocco yet. So we'll just ask Niels again. And Niels, what was a thing you remember when you think back to the Jama el-Fna? What do you see, experience?
Oh, well, I think the one thing that stays with most people is actually the snake charmers, right? Because you've seen, or you have the feeling you know it already because you've seen it in so many different movies. But to be honest, I'm afraid of snakes, and seeing them live is a very different thing. It is kind of cool, and I think it would be, because you see a lot of pictures of Marrakesh and then you see the market and so on and so on, but that would be very unfair to Marrakesh because it has a lot to offer. A lot of cultural sites, actually, like the El Badi Palace. And obviously, again, my favorite topic, food. So I can only strongly recommend to try out one of these small restaurants that you would find in pretty much every corner. Not so much the street food. That's what I found. I found the small restaurants better quality. And yeah, I think you'll need to strengthen yourself on this trip for the next stop, and that would be Eureka. That's Eureka Waterfalls. I think it is quite challenging, but it is absolutely doable for everyone. Right? It's a bit of a walk, yes, but you have to do it. It is really nice. It might also be a bit touristy, but really it's worth the effort. And I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. I can only recommend it.
So, but luckily something nearly, let's call it effortless in terms of physical activity, is the quad tour you can do on the next day. Because we are now in Marrakesh Palmeraid, it's Palma Azid. It's located outside of Marrakesh, so we're still in the Marrakesh area. Quad driving is actually only one of the activities you can do in this Palma Azid. It's a very gigantic area, actually. You can also do camel riding there, for example. That's what Niels told in the beginning. And in the end, you can have already, of course, always great pictures. So, but the next destination, we don't reach by camel riding because that would be a little bit slow. We go by car next, and we go slowly into the direction of the Sahara Desert. So the Sahara Desert is basically here, kind of, that's the border. So we are on the way to it, and on the way to it, we cross to Ait Ben Haddou. The Ait Ben Haddou is a historical fortified village. And the thing is that you have probably seen it before without even knowing it, because it's quite a popular movie location, filming location for Hollywood. For example, Prince of Persia or Game of Thrones, or also Gladiator have been made there. But so for me, definitely, this is something because I really love movie locations. So I'm really looking forward to going there one day. And if we move further to the Sahara Desert, we actually come to the town of Zagora. So what you can do there, actually, what is special about it, is that you can stay a night in the desert. And Niels, you also have done that. And can you tell us what is so special about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly before the question came up, does quad tour require driving license? I do not know, but I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't believe that anyone ever asked for a driver's license. I wasn't asked, at least, so I'd say no. But yeah, coming back to the desert, what is really recommendable there? Set your schedule in a way that you arrive early enough in the evening to see the sunset properly, because we ran a bit out of time, even though I was on a different tour there. But that was a bit sad because you might want to climb a dune, sand dune, and they are huge. You need quite some time for that. You want to settle in at the accommodation and so on and so on. So if you say, well, sunset is at 6:30 or 7, make sure that you have a minimum of an hour before sunset that you arrive. I'd say 1.5, 2 to be safe. And that is sunset and sunrise as well. Sunrise is usually easy because you stay overnight, and then you just need to set your alarm clock accordingly. The other thing that really stuck in my mind is the sky you'd see during nighttime. Because if you are lucky and there's not too much light pollution in the desert, obviously, you'll see the Milky Way, and that is quite a happening. If you manage to go for the desert, see if you have full moon, that would be a bit unfortunate. But anything else, really, you might be able to see the Milky Way, and that is really something. But I think after that, yeah, you have a long drive. You go all the way back to Marrakesh and can explore the city a bit more. Maybe use your new learned skills in bargaining and buy some souvenirs for your beloved ones at home.
So, but hopefully you will not only bring souvenirs back home, but also good memories, of course. So here some reviews that was written by TripMates of Kati, actually, who went to Morocco. And in general, you don't have to read everything now. But in general, what they state is that the trip was really diverse in such a short time. So you have the city, you have the mountains, you have the desert, and that's basically only in 7 days. So it's really a lot. And yeah, as you can see, they really loved it. But of course, this trip only served kind of an inspiration, but you could do what is doable in some days, and you always can expand your trip. So there are, of course, other places which are worth visiting in Morocco. So Niels, you also, of course, have to be in some of those places, and of other places you might have read or heard of. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So my trip actually started in Casablanca. That's the economic capital of Morocco. And one thing that I found super impressive there is the mosque that you actually see in that picture, Hassan II Mosque. And what is so special about it, next to its size, is actually that it's a Caprio mosque. It's convertible. It can open its roof. So it is huge. It's humongous. It's really big, and it can open its roof. If that's not something worth visiting, I don't know what is. Next, there would be Chefchaouen, and I think most of you already know Chefchaouen from some pictures, most probably, because I would say, or I would call it, one of the most Instagram ready cities in the world, most probably. These beautiful blue houses, they are just really nice to see. There's other places, I think in Fez or Rabat, or both of them, you also have areas where there's blue houses. But yeah, here it's kind of special, I'd say. And then next, yeah, the Atlas Mountains. We already were talking about these beforehand. I think really, if you're into hiking, this might be one of the best places to go for, and it's really amazing there. And then last but not least, another activity that you could do is Soria. That's where you want to surf, right? Portugal, as I said in the very beginning, became very famous in recent years. but it also became quite expensive. So if you want to have a place where you still have really nice surf and still it's really affordable, this might be something you want to have a look into.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing, Niels. And with these words in mind, we hope that you got quite some insights about Morocco. You learned a little bit more, and that we also made you a little bit curious about that country. So, and if we go on, if you want to dream some more, stay tuned, because another country we want to make you more familiar with is actually Iceland. And this will be the destination for our next travel inspiration webinar. It will take place in 2 weeks, also on a Wednesday on 7:30 p.m. But what we also have for you, because so 2 weeks after Iceland will be the next travel inspiration webinar. And so we just thought we have today like audience here and also many people. So I thought, why not ask the people who are here which country we should do next for our travel inspiration webinar in basically 4 weeks then. So Anna will start now a poll, and you all are free to share your thoughts about it. What should we do next?
Oh, please don't choose Germany. That would be kind of worse.
Mexico.
It's in the list. Every team member of us has kind of a favorite, and so I'm curious what it will be in the end.
Okay. Oh yeah, Mexico is not Finland. Oh yeah. Oh, Cuba. I like Cuba a lot. Really, USA is going to be tricky because
Cuba is actually a country I've been, so this is why I put it in.
Okay. The US, East West Coast.
So Anna, how's the poll going?
Yeah, it's like 50-50 Cuba and Mexico. So I think almost everybody voted. We have 3 people left that can vote.
Fight the rice. Okay.
Yeah, the better vote.
Not, we will have you guys choose Mexico or Cuba.
I've been to both. I really like both.
Now
Cuba was a bit more special.
One ahead.
Cuba's one. Yeah, it's great for me.
9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. Okay, stop. It's gonna be Cuba.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. I like that.
I can share my Cuba experiences therefore. So perfect. So then in 4 weeks, basically it's Cuba. Like I said, in 2 weeks it's Iceland. Thanks for participating actually in the poll. And if you're now really motivated to plan your next trip and explore the world with a group of soon-to-be friends, let's call them, then you are also invited to our other webinar. This is the Trip Leader webinar. It's actually the webinar of Anna. She's also here today. And so this is about how to find trip mates quickly and easily. So this means Anna will show you, how can make best use of our platform, how to set up a trip there, how to publish it, and also how to promote it a little. The webinar always takes place every second week in English and German. So the next date you can see here. It's also on Wednesday on 7:30 to keep things simple in general, that we have every week kind of a webinar, and every second week it's the travel inspiration, and the other second week it's the Trip Leader webinar. So, and the registration link for both webinars actually will be posted some seconds in the chat if they're not already there. I have to thank you all for the participation tonight, and also thank you, of course, to my co-host Niels. And in case of any questions or thoughts to share with me about Morocco, about this webinar, or about like JoinMyTrip in general, like if you want more information about our concept and how it works, you can always contact me here for more information. And you can also check out, of course, our social media channels. We always have a lot of travel content for you and many other countries. So thank you all again, and I hope I really see you all next time in the Iceland webinar in 2 weeks, or also that Anna welcomes you in the Trip Leader webinar if you want to know how to set up a good trip at JoinMyTrip. So have a good evening, you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye.